Welcome to the Eclectic Gamers Podcast. Today is Sunday, July 20th. This is episode 250.
Is that special?
I mean, it's a round number that has like big major numbers in it, so no, it's not.
And some people play up the 50ths. We do not.
I mean,
and we've had a lot. We've had more 50ths than many of them.
Oh, that is true.
It been 84 years.
Yeah. With every other week. Every other week.
Consistency. I've had other podcasters push back on this saying, the consistency thing isn't important. And you know what? Their shows have all faltered. Maybe not failed, but they all falter. Big periods of inactivity. And you can't. How do you keep an audience with such inconsistency?
I don't know.
But
I say that, but at the same time, there's like one or two podcasts out there that put out like a show every other year, and I still listen to them.
I've got exceptions. I've got it like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
I was thinking about Dan Carlin,
but you know what? He should be putting them out more than he does.
He should. He should.
He should be able to at least pace every 6 months, and he doesn't.
No,
and that's silly. Dan, if you're listening, get it together. Just get it together. Speaking of getting it together, apparently I did have a correction from Joe C. about the last episode. During our discussion about collections, I had mentioned nostalgia, that I wasn't nostalgic regarding getting rid of a pinball machine, and he said I should have said sentimentality. That I wasn't being sentiment because it was involving an object. It was about sentimentality. So, correction is noted. He also said that you were completely wrong to try and argue that a collection didn't have to be a multiple of something.
I surrendered on that.
I know. But I'm saying
I surrendered.
that someone didn't even like that you tried.
It's okay.
Okay.
That happens.
So, Tony.
I accept the judgment of the masses.
That's why you're on a podcast, is you love their judgment.
I am judged.
So, Tony, what has been going on the last couple of weeks?
Well, I've been busy.
Okay.
That's what. No, nothing.
Playing Brotato?
Actually, I have not touched Brotato. I've actually cut a lot of my video game time way back. Mm-hmm. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the house. I've been doing a lot of stuff with work, and I am accelerating my adjustments that I've been making since my attempt to use the Monjoro Ozempic type SLP1 whatever's like my body rejected that stuff, and so I couldn't use it to help control my diabetes. So I've been doing major changes to my lifestyle, which includes lots of working out and meal changing and stuff. So I've been doing a lot of research. So most of my time has been spent doing stuff like that, working around the house on stuff, and trying to form good habits that will last long term, unlike the last time when I got on a kick and lost a ton of weight and got healthy, and it lasted like a year. Mm-hmm. And then I backslid. I'm trying to do it in a healthier way that it can be built into habits that will last. Will it work? I don't know. It's been since March. We'll find out. It's only been 3 months. Habits take I've heard some people say 3 to 6 months for a habit to kick in, but I hear other people say 6 months to a year for a habit to be fully locked in. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it much healthier than I did the last time when I was just like, well, I can live on 1,100 calories a day. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I lost a lot of weight that way, but it was definitely not sustainable. So now it's, especially when the 1,100 calories was like, I'm going to eat this one whole Tombstone pizza. That's the only thing I'm going to eat today. There we go.
I do like Tombstone pizzas. It's been a long time since I had one.
They're really good. They're like my favorite frozen pizza. But I'm just trying to build better habits. And so I've been doing a lot of research and concentrating on that and doing a bunch of other stuff. And then the middle of last week, we had just Wednesday night, we had the worst storm this area has had since probably 2019. At work, we got 6.5 inches of rain in a couple of hours. Flooding all over this area was absolutely insane. We had all sorts of problems. We had power losses and equipment down, and I spent a solid 2 days at work. Not like nonstop. I have a couch in my office, and I slept on it for like 6 hours. So it was just one of those things where it got to a point where it's like 11 o'clock at night. Everything's settled down. And quite frankly, I don't know that I trust myself to drive home right now. Here comes the couch.
That makes sense.
Wake up the next morning and go back to work. So, but it's all been crazy hectic. So,
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Yeah, not much video gaming or pinballing. I didn't record the pinball show last weekend. Zach, my co-host, was busy. And then I had a trip on Monday. I flew to Anaheim, and I got back. Technically, I did land on Friday, but I didn't get home till Saturday morning. So that was. But there was no flooding there, so that was nice. So a big work conference out there. That's my only interstate trip for work this year. Last year I had a couple, but this year I'm actually almost done with conference season. I've got one more coming up, I think in September, but it's a local one, like it's down in Wichita, so it's not going to be a biggie. So did that. I did play some Vampire Survivor. I finished the Garlic Paradise Adventure yesterday.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I got all the things to unlock the evolved mode, but I've got other adventures that I need to jump to, so I'll probably start jumping to that. Speaking of jumping, I will go ahead and jump us into the pinball section. I did try and do some research yesterday on that. And unlike researching sustainable habits, this research was really quick because there has not been any, what do you want me to tell you? That the Jaws 50th that we talked about last time is on the line? Okay, it's on the line. There you go. Nobody cares. So, but our listeners have come to our rescue, as they often have. And we actually have two, both of whom have fairly substantive items that they wanted us to go ahead and discuss. And the first one is from Richard A. And so I will now read it as follows. Hello, guys. It seems like it has been a slow couple of weeks pinball-wise. Well, you aren't lying, Richard. It absolutely is. I thought you might want a discussion topic. How about the art of games that come from IP? Harry Potter really had some discussions about art. Take a look back at some games and discuss the art. How has it evolved or devolved? My premise for this topic is that it seems like today more and more games use clip art for the art. Toy Story, to me, is the perfect example of this. Oh, Tony's going to be agreeing with that one. All those images were the same images, used everywhere. Wonka was kind of like that, too.
Wonka was bad.
That art above the flippers looks like the same art that was used on shower curtains, book covers, and every other product. I'm not overly familiar with Harry Potter, but the images look sort of familiar. But they seem to be changed from photos to a drawn style to give it a different look. Some titles you could look at: Star Trek, the recent movies, Star Trek 25th Anniversary, Star Trek Next Generation, Batman Dark Knight, Batman with Keaton, Batman 66, Baywatch, $6 Million Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, Shadow, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, Spider-Man, any of them, Austin Powers, Lethal Weapon. One thing to consider when looking at these: if clip art is used, where was it used? For example, was it only used in the back box and sides? Star Trek the recent movies has it on the back box and sides, but the playfield does not feature the characters, thus not clip art. I think the Stern Pirates of the Caribbean is similar. Dennis, if this gets read, can you do your Western voice? Thanks. I hope this becomes a discussion regardless of if the letter is read. I really would like to hear our thoughts about art on various machines. I also bet you have a better list of games than the ones I came up with. Richard A. Well, Richard, thank you for the email. Thank you for the discussion topic. And also thank you for requesting my Western voice. I actually have two voices, country and Western. And very rarely do I get requested to use the Western one, which I know ended up sounding very Southern. But...
We got both kinds of music here.
Sir, okay. Yeah, I'm glad someone knew the reference. So, I mean, it's a pretty famous reference, so I think a lot of people think. And in our internal notes, I include some of the Star Trek ones just as inspiration. Obviously, we can load up anything we need to. And he he was just giving some examples. So, all right, art, the nature of art. We did some pauses while I was reading the lengthy letter because it was just reminding of, like, Wonka was a case in point. That was one he didn't name, but Toy Story had the same thing that we had already seen on Wonka. I think on Wonka it was probably even more obvious.
I think so.
Wonka it was to you, at least.
Wonka was really bad because almost every picture was literally taken off of it, like a DVD case or something like that. It was really obvious, and especially the big thing on Wonka, it was like they used the exact same clip picture of Wonka himself in like 4 different places,
same pose,
the exact same pose and everything.
Yeah,
so it is a thing that has been big. I don't know that I necessarily want to say a problem, but or an issue, but it has been very common, especially with licensed pens, especially through the late 90s and up until just the last few years. It's almost always been what any major licensed pen was a whole bunch of clip art or very sanitized, something the licensor would agree to that falls into their branding type stuff without any real soul or anything special about it.
Yeah, it's so for the query that Richard has, it's game by game. And the reason I believe it is, I can't even say it's really company by company. It's game by game. And the reason I think primarily, and part it probably does fall on the pinball companies, but I think mostly it really comes down to licensor restriction. And maybe the company's part is whether they're willing to push against that, or if they can find wiggle room, or they can make a compelling case versus just being like, okay, well, this is what it is. But I think they've started to figure out as time has gone by what they can do within those guardrails and what they cannot do. So one of the things that he mentioned, like the Star Trek, the one based off the first 2 Chris Pine movies, like, okay, so there, you did the montage clip art style on the translite, sides of the cabinet, like the Pro, for example. And then the playfield doesn't have any of the, it's just like a generic sort of space thing that they did. Part of that, I think, it was likely just the artist's decision, like, we needed to convey a lot of information. We've got all these missions we're trying to get people to do. That was a big focus to emphasize what you need to shoot at. You had the Trek emblems with the RGB lights to guide you on what you were going to do. And so looking at the playfield, they want you to feel like you're in space, and that was sufficient. Another one he did not mention, but I will bring up that I feel, and it's from the same era, it was a year later, but right up in that same vein, was when Stern did The Walking Dead.
Yes.
There's no Walking Dead characters on the playfield. Not the main actors. There's zombies. There's, you're to be in that world because you'd be like, oh, look, there's Bicycle Girl. Oh, look, there's the Whale Walker. Oh, look, here's this, like the bar, like the toy. It's to put you in that world. But they didn't feel like they needed to slather the characters all over the playfield. You have the characters on the translite. Like, that's what catches your eye. And historically, do we have characters all over the playfield? That very much varies. He named a few examples, like Lethal Weapon, like Lethal Weapon 3. So back in the old day, here, bear in mind, like, that was when all the playfields were being screen printed. So you would have, generally there were fewer colors that you might have involved, and all, like, I don't fully understand the nuances of it, but like Data East and the Data East days, they had their artists, and they would draw things, and they would not look like the same things that are on shower curtains and lunchboxes and all the rest of it. But that is because I believe that then they could get away with, hey, look, this is Riggs, not Mel Gibson as Riggs. Like, they don't really look like the actor. You can tell who they're being, but because it's not that person, the rights issue wasn't a problem.
Right.
That's why I think they used to do it like that. So you like Nedry on Data East Jurassic Park with his stupid Nedry hand. Like, yeah, that's Nedry, but it's not the actor. Like, it's just not. Now, sometimes they walked a fine line. The Indiana Jones pin from Williams. There are a ton of people who insist that's Harrison Ford. Williams' stance has always been, that is not Harrison Ford, it's Indiana Jones. That is a generic Indiana Jones. It is the best Harrison Ford looking, non-Harrison Ford Indiana Jones I have ever seen in my entire life. But they have insisted on that, and we've seen where instances where it had to get even more creative, like Back to the Future for Data East, where you've got Gary Stern is being Doc, and Marty is a potato. Like, they took steps to, like, they didn't always get the actors' rights, and when they try and get the actors, maybe they just get the permission and do the backglass, like Apollo 13. They couldn't get Tom Hanks, but they got the others, and then you have whatever's going on the playfield. So I think what's happened over time is there has been, I want to say, I feel like it comes down mostly to the artist's choice. Like, do we want to have characters slathered all over the playfield or not? It seems like it is more prevalent now in the LCD era. And maybe that's because when you have companies like Jersey Jack, what translate? It's a tiny sliver. Yeah. You've complained about this, Tony. It's a tiny sliver of real estate.
It's just a little thingy, like a postage stamp.
So when the thing's off, if you want to feel the world, the only other place to go is on the playfield. Because the other two places the sides are, wedged into lines. Who really cares? And their translate space is tiny. So you have room for one Hedwig. Like, it's just, there's no space. So I think that's part of it, but I think part of it's artist driven. Richard did point out the thing about the clip art use and stuff. People got really frustrated with it, I think, because it felt... I don't think it's so much that it was lazy as it was that... Well, no. Let me rephrase that. I think it was more that it was lazy and not so much that it was ugly. Now, again, Stern, early 2000s, think Lord of the Rings era and such. Like, the digital printing and the way that the art was applied to the playfield was not particularly attractive. It's almost like a baby's first pointillism. It's just really, it's really blotchy. And that was just the technology that was used. So there's that aspect of it. But I think a lot of collectors just got frustrated with, he mentioned Iron Man, which is a good case in point, where you've got like Black Widow and the Black Widow pose. Like, it's straight up the promo photo where you've just, you've got the green screen. So they're able to take her and clip art, place Black Widow where they need to place her. And that's how Wonka felt, I feel. Even if it wasn't necessarily the clip art, if it was, so the issue with that is I think it just annoyed people that these artists weren't, no matter how ugly, say, the Data East art was on Lethal Weapon 3, at least someone drew it.
It was pretty ugly.
It was. But at least someone drew it. And yes. it just for collectors, and as pricey as things got, this is my theory, people just started to get really pissed at the idea of you taking stills or photos, promo stuff, and literally just resizing and dropping it where you wanted it to be. And that's why you've now seen, like, what's happened with Harry Potter and plenty of other games where it's like, okay, we're going to take the same poses, like Bond, for example.
Right.
And, all right, we'll just hand draw them. Or run a filter that makes them look hand drawn. I don't know how they did it. But, I mean, basically...
AI.
Or AI. But basically, it's like, all right, we're going to take the official still... Because it's photorealism still. So it's the actor or actress. So we're going to hand draw it, but they're going to be in those same poses because that's what... And again, that's where... How picky is the licensor? Like, Bond was notoriously picky.
Yeah, I've always heard that.
Really, really difficult to work with. And then, of course, we see a lot more creativity when they do an IP that isn't tied, like Deadpool being comic Deadpool. A lot of creative, like Zombie Yeti was able to hand draw. It's clearly Deadpool, and it's of better quality than what we saw in the 90s, but like, there isn't just one pose of Deadpool. Like, he's doing stupid stuff like having little rubber ducky floaty rings and stuff on him and all that because...
I love the art on Deadpool.
They were Marvel let them, because it wasn't Marvel Studios. Marvel let them be very, very creative, and some kind of walk a line in between. I mean, we saw with Chicago Gaming, Pulp Fiction, they have that more traditional hand drawn. Like, this isn't John Travolta, but it's clearly
John Travolta.
Yeah. I was going to say, I started to remember Vincent Vega, I think, was that his name?
Yeah, Vincent Vega.
Yeah, it's clearly Vincent Vega, but it's also clearly not John Travolta. So So that's my kind of take on that sort of thing. I think most brands are avoiding, most pinball companies are avoiding the clip art thing just because there's been backlash to it, and they found out that we're relatively tolerant if it's quote unquote hand drawn, even if it's straight up the same promo positioning and everything else, because that, I think it just makes for an easy approval. But the effort, I'm air quoting, the effort was put into it to hand draw it. So even though it's like, is this like someone took the promo thing and just traced it? Like some of it looks straight up, like it's so photorealistic, it looks like they just traced. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. All I'm saying is that people lap it up. Like we as pinball people are like, that's the middle ground that worked. We'll take the lunchbox poses. We just want someone to have had tried to draw them. And we want it drawn super duper good.
And it wouldn't surprise me that at least some of the companies, if that doesn't just translate to, we have a hand draw filter. We just feed it through the filter.
Maybe. It's working. Like writ large, that's what the public wants. They don't like it when things look too non-photorealistic. For whatever reason, maybe that's trauma from the 90s with like the stuff he's listed. Mm-hmm. The Star Wars of Daddy East. And so Daddy East was a good case in point where their art was not particularly good. But on the playfield.
Yeah, definitely. I do like some of the more modern stuff, though, getting away from the just floating head. I'm so tired of when you do something that's just floating heads.
Yes.
It's like, oh, good, there's a bunch of heads here. Yay. I didn't realize I bought their headshot promos.
Right. No, I can see that. But again, I didn't like the art on the playfield for John Wick, where I felt like the comic panel approach, it just didn't feel like the movie. The movie isn't a comic. It's sliced up. It's clearly more creatively interpreted than the usual, here we go, here are the promo images on the positioned and stuff. But I was just like, the way the whole package came together reminded me of like the worst of the 90s sort of stuff. He mentioned Baywatch. Like Baywatch was an example where, it's super stylized. There were vast sections, I think, without the characters. Baywatch's art package on the playfield is not particularly great, quite frankly.
I mean, that's that game totally is not particularly great.
No, I think it's a fun game. You get the little shark flipper. Don't you forget about Shark Flipper.
I'll be honest, I'd forgotten about the shark flipper.
Shark flipper. Mm.
Yeah, it's not a great game.
But and there is a propensity, I think, to use the promo stuff still more for the back box, the translite and the sides.
It's the recognizable stuff.
Yeah, and I think because of that, there's still more of a desire to have it be like a movie poster, which again was the purpose of all of that originally. It was to catch your eye in an arcade. So people judge it, of course, but I think that's why we see it more there. Plus, the playfields still have to convey a lot of information. There's a lot of accommodation that needs to happen. I think it was Zombie Yeti when he was first talking about how when he did his first production game, Ghostbusters, and stuff he learned about, you're trying to do this art, but you need to convey the shots. Like you're still having information needs to be accommodated, and your art has to kind of work around where these inserts and such are going to go, because the inserts are not there to help your art. They're there to convey information to the player. And on a lot of these games, there are a lot of inserts.
Yeah.
So I think we've seen more variance and more bad art on the playfields themselves than the back box and the sides. But I will say, even into the modern stuff, we do see more clip arty style in the back box and sides because of that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to a second email, Chris D wrote into us. He wants us to play a game. And he's given us all the questions. I think you'll know this game. The listeners will know this game. I've heard other shows play this game in other hobbies, and I'm sure. And actually, there was someone that used to like have it, keep it, bolt it, burn it. I think was how they did their version. That might have. Was that Ken Cromwell's podcast? I don't remember which ones did it anymore. So let me get to the email. Chris writes in, "Hi guys, got a game for you this week. There's a PG-13 version of this game, and then there's a PG version of the game. So the censored version of the game is the Mary beep. That's my own personal beeping. Kill that pin, or marry, love, or old yeller that pin."
Wow, I don't know that that's better.
I don't know either, but that's what we're going with. So here are the rounds that he's got 5 rounds for us. And rather than just read them down the email, I'll hit him afterwards. But because he just closes with thanks, guys. So all right, Chris, thanks for the game. We're gonna go ahead and play it. So here we go. The first round is the 3 Elvira games. So there's Elvira and the Party Monsters. Then there was Scared Stiff, and then there's Elvira House of Horrors. That's the first round. He wants us to say which pin would we marry or keep. Love, which is all right. You want to have it for a little while, but then you want to get rid of it, sell it, and then Old Yeller, which means destroy. So I will let you go first on round 1.
This one's a little tough.
All right, then I will go first. What do you think? All right, so I am going to marry Elvira House of Horrors. I will love Elvira and the Party Monsters, and I will Old Yeller Scared Stiff. Now, I actually like all these games.
See, that's why it's hard.
So,
because
that's why the game. That's why he picked it to be hard.
I think your Mary choice is correct. I think House of Horrors is the best.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got so many I like how it shoots.
Yeah.
I like the toys. So I could see it as a keeper in the collection.
But then I think I'm going to flip the other two, and I'm going to
temporarily. You're going to love
Scared Stiff.
Scared Stiff. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the majority of the listeners would probably agree with you. I personally think Scared Stiff is way too easy of a game. I have zero interest in having it in this house. Now, Old Yellering it is a bit extreme. However, that's the rules.
That's the rules.
It's my pin, Ma. I'll do it. I'll do it. But I mean, especially when you think about the 90s when these things were on location, I cannot believe they made a game that easy to be out on location. It's shockingly friendly. It's shockingly accommodating. Elvira and the Party Monsters, I think, is a really fun theme idea. And it is held more back by its technology, but I can't imagine Elvira and the Party Monsters would last long in my collection. It actually was when I was early in my pinball career. It was on my list of a game I wanted.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I found out how much they were because Elvira is so popular. So I was like, I mean, it wasn't Scared Stiff bad, but it was bad. And I was like, okay. Barbecue bonus and all of that and all the things. I mean, yeah, the immersion's better on Scared Stiff, so that's why I think your view will win out overall. But no,
just out of curiosity, I went and looked, and Scared Stiff is the number 6 top 10 rated solid state game on the Internet Pinball Database.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that hasn't been updated in like 20,000 years, so whatever.
Valid.
No, it's beloved. A lot of people really wanted to have a remake. Like for CGC, like it's on that list.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm sure most people agree with you over me, but these are my picks. All right, the second round that Chris has given us is the Elwyn Monster Bangers: Godzilla, Jaws, and King Kong. So this one, I find this one harder.
Here's my problem.
Yeah, what's your problem?
I've not played Kong.
Nor have I. But that's why the game is the game. So, do you have anything?
I mean, it's okay. Mary is easy. It's Godzilla. That's simple. I Godzilla all day long. And on the others, I'm gonna have to Old Yeller King Kong because I've just not played it, so I don't know. So Jaws is the one that it'll be loved for a short time and then left. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta love them and leave them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Goodbye, stranger. It's been nice. Gosh, you know what? I'm gonna flip Godzilla and Jaws. I'm going to say marry Jaws, love Godzilla, Old Yeller King Kong. Old Yeller and King Kong for the same reason. Plus, nobody cares about Kong. So, like, as a theme. Yeah, here's why. You'll understand. I'm not saying that Jaws is the better game. There are so many Godzillas, I will always be able to find it and love it again. Like, it'll be out on location.
Godzilla's the town bicycle,
yes,
baby.
That's right.
Everyone's had a ride.
Yeah, that's right. So, Godzilla, yeah, it's everywhere. It's so popular for good reason that there's absolutely no... and it's tough because there are a lot of Jaws out there, too, but not nearly as many as there are Godzillas. And so, for that reason, I think it makes more sense to keep Jaws into your home, because there's always going to be a pinball location within relative driving distance of just about anyone that's going to have a Godzilla. It's so easy to find.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip it.
You're going to flip. I understand.
I got to keep it.
It's not that you don't love Zilla, but Zilla's easy to find. So
it is.
The fact that it's always
yeah. Look, we're just playing by the rules. If you want a little less callous view, I would say I actually think the rules on Jaws are more interesting than Godzilla. Godzilla, and maybe that's because I've played Godzilla a lot more. For me, Godzilla's layout and toys, and I'm thinking premium versus premium, are better, more interesting. Jaws is not nearly as interesting on the toy front. However, the theme immersion in some ways is significantly stronger on Jaws, and I think the rules behind what you're trying to do in Jaws feel more varied. It's not, oh, okay, I've activated bridge attack. Oh, okay, I've activated tank attack. Oh, okay, I've activated electric storm attack, or whatever we call the thing where we're making Godzilla get electrocuted. So there are some things about the rules on Jaws that I think Jaws' rules go in a better direction than Godzilla's. The thing is, Godzilla's rules are still good, so I can't.
Right.
And Godzilla's layout is far more unique, I would say. But and the toys put it over the top. So, all right, round 3. Okay, NBA Fast Break. This is basketball theme. NBA Fast Break, Hoops, and Shack Attack.
I mean,
I believe I've played all of these.
I have played all of these.
It's been quite a while since I've played either NBA or Shaq. So, all right, I'll start on this one.
Just go ahead and start. We already know who you're marrying.
Yeah, marrying Hoops.
Because you already have.
Yeah, I mean, I have it, but
you put a ring on it. I know you put a ring on it. Yeah, it's there forever. You said it last episode that it's a game that's never leaving your lineup.
Most likely not. Yes, that's true.
So you put a ring on it.
I also think it's the best of these 3 games. I think this one is the best of these 3 games.
You want to love Shaq.
I can't though.
Love Shaq.
I can't.
Baby, love Shaq.
That's good. Oh, you got to be so proud of yourself for that one. That's where it's at.
It felt a little tingly.
It spins as big as a whale. I was about to set sail. Oh my God, what has happened to us? No, I'll love NBA Fast Break. It's a interesting layout. I mean, this is a game I've heard some people like really try and build up NBA Fast Break. And let's not, again, you ain't marrying NBA Fast Break. Let's be clear. Like, this game was parted out to save Medieval Madnesses and Attack from Marses for a reason. It's not that good, but it's got a pretty interesting layout. And I'm not saying Shaq doesn't have a layout. Here's the problem with Shack Attack. We were just talking about art with Richard's email, and I still just remember someone saying that they hated the Shack Attack art on the back box because the translate made his legs look like they were Tootsie Rolls. And all I ever think of is Tootsie Rolls now when I see it. And so I don't really like Tootsie Rolls, and so he's got to get Old Yellered because of that. The byproduct. It's just like Street Fighter and the explosion behind M. Bison between the flippers. But all I can ever think of is the what was it? The Buffalo Pinball people, and when they called it cheesy mashed potatoes. So he's just standing in front of his cheesy mashed potatoes, getting ready to have a bite, and I just can't take it serious.
Yeah.
So Old Yeller for Shack Attack.
I agree with your pattern.
Okay.
That is Shack Attack is so bad. NBA Fast Break's not good, but But no, I just can't. I don't want it in my house.
All right, round 4. Total Nuclear Annihilation, Rick and Morty, and Rocks. Now, yes, Tony's making a face because this is the face I made. I believe Chris meant to say Final Resistance because then it would be his Scott Denisi collection. Was it Final Resistance, the P3 game that he did?
I think so.
Rocks is the asteroid-like game that came out like when the P3 came out. Like, it's a super basic game. So, and I don't believe Scott worked on it, but I may be wrong.
Let's see.
Yeah, we're going to the online here because I probably,
or is it? Yeah, that's a mini game on P3.
Yes, yeah, it's a mini game. I played it. I've played it. I was just, one of these things is not like the others. So obviously Scott designed Total Nuclear Annihilation. It was his big claim to fame initially with Pinball. Spooky Pinball made that. Took it to a lot of shows. When it was Total Annihilation, it became very, very popular. And then yes, the Final Resistance is his P3 game. And then Rick and Morty was his follow-up game. And this is actually the order they would have come out in. So do we want to change Rocks to Final Resistance, or do we think Chris knows what he's doing and meant Rocks?
I think it has to be Final Resistance.
Okay. So sorry, Chris, if we are mistaken, but we are overruling Rocks, and we're going to make this a Scott Denisi round, and we're going to turn that into. I don't know if he helped the Rocks or not. I didn't see it on his website. So, but I don't want to spend a bunch of time trying to dig into it because since it's a mini game.
Well, I was just looking at IPDB, and he's not listed anywhere.
Yeah, I here's the thing. Rocks ain't getting anywhere because it's not enough of a full-fledged game to be in this.
Right.
Quite bluntly. Like, I'd rather do a round of all the mini games on the P3 for that to be more fair. But all right. So the Scots, you've played all these.
I have played all of these, and I will say, it's tough. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily tough the way some people might think, but I'm going to marry TNA. I am going to tenderly love Final Resistance. Mm-hmm. And then Rick and Morty has to go out behind the shit.
Okay. Interesting. I'm similar in one regard. We have a lot of these where we flip something. So I would marry Final Resistance.
I almost
love
did.
TNA.
See, that's where
I'm still old yellering Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that was my debate.
Yes,
and the thing that really locked me in on flipping it, I think is the TNA soundtrack combined with the nostalgia of how much fun we had playing it from when we touched the original Whitewood, and then when you had it and on location and everything. I think it has a slightly stronger tie to it.
Okay.
And also don't necessarily want to lock a P3 into my household.
Why'd you old yeller Rick and Morty?
Because I don't... It didn't seem like anything special. It's a fine game, but it never really grabbed me as anything special.
So for me, as you noted, I had a TNA and I let it go. So the problem, and I wish I had more time on Final Resistance, but what I'm going to say is I think a lot of people have referred to Final Resistance as TNA 2.0. And so I feel like I probably do prefer the soundtrack and kind of the world of TNA over Final Resistance, but I do think Final Resistance has a better rule set. And I haven't been able to explore a lot of it, but there are the items and stuff that you gather, you use the P3 buttons and all that. But TNA has one right way to play it, and that's why I don't have it anymore. And that's why I think it's a good pin to love, but not necessarily a good pin to keep, because I can download the soundtrack. The layout is fun. but it's, I mean, there's one right way to play it, and that is go into multi-ball and then destroy your reactors. And that's all there is to it. And Final Resistance has more going on in the rule realm than that. And so, or at least I think it does. Maybe there's one right way to play that one as well, but it masks it much better. TNA is a very straightforward, very 80s style game. And if you have the opportunity to own one, or to love for a little while, I would encourage it. But it didn't last in my collection for a reason, and that is the reason. Rick and Morty, I've not watched the show. The theme does nothing for me, and Scott, I mean, no offense if you are listening, but I have to be direct. I don't think the layout is very good. Especially that crossover shot with the upper flipper. It's not smooth. Like, I mean, you're competing against a world with the warp ramp, and I'm not expecting everything to be a Steve Ritchie warp ramp, but the shots on Rick and Morty do not feel good. What works on Rick and Morty is the theme integration. But since I do not care about the theme integration, and I do care about gameplay, how funny the game is irrelevant. It's got to be taken out back. It's just got to. It's the worst layout of the three. And it's not even close. So that's why I did the way I did. All right. Chris gave us a bonus round. So
bonus round.
Fifth and final round. He calls this the
round.
out there theme. So these are not actual games that exist. So he wants to know if they could exist. So we're really judging it off of the theme concepts. One would be BattleTech.
Mm-hmm.
One would be Doom connected with a LAN. And he notes, think NBA Fast Break, but your glory high school days. So someone's been listening to these episodes.
Yeah.
And one I think would be cool, an actual roguelike, not light, like Binding of Isaac. So, all right. We don't have any layout, soundtrack, or anything to go off of. These are just the themes.
Yeah.
Mary Love Old Yeller. I would say, based off of theming, Mary Doom, Love BattleTech, Old Yeller Binding.
I'm similar with the obvious flip.
The obvious flip. Obvious flip is obvious.
Obvious flip is obvious. I marry BattleTech.
Mm-hmm.
I spend plenty of quality time with Doom before I release the butterfly. And then an actual roguelike like Binding of Isaac can once again, hey, what's behind this shit? Is that a quarter?
I'll do it, Isaac.
Isaac's used to it.
Yeah, poor Isaac. Here's the thing. While I think there's space, and I think Nick Baldridge is even, and we talked about it recently, with his upcoming game, and has done before, stuff with procedural generation. There's potential for procedural generation in pinball. I am not personally in any way really interested in having these sort of roguelikes as a pinball experience, like the idea of that genre as a pinball. I don't really care one way or like I'm not excited about any like those games I play for what like same with like playing Vampire Survivor or whatever. Like I like those style of video games, but I have no real interest in seeing them as pinball. They might work really well as pinball. It's not like an idea that I sit there and go, gosh, I sure wish this was pinball. Doom is such a touchstone to me. And while I haven't played the new, medieval timesy Doom.
Yeah, I haven't yet either.
Though I did see the speed run on Summer Games Done Quick of that. I've played a lot of Doom games. I put a lot of time on Doom. There's a lot of nostalgia for Doom for me. And so that's why it would be, if I have to guess off a theme, I would marry it. And I end up with loving BattleTech because I think we've seen a homebrew mech game, and I think there's a lot of potential for a mech concept with pinball. I just can't commit to saying that I would actually keep it.
Yeah. Well, you don't know, and you don't have my background with the wider universe and my contact with it, and how it has entwined itself in my life since middle school. So,
yeah. All right.
BattleTech was a cradle robber.
Thank you. All right. So thank you again, Chris, for the game. We appreciate it. Tony, we're ready for the video game segment.
All right. Well, we're going to open the video game segment talking about TV and movies because there's been a lot of stuff announced recently. Netflix did announce that they are putting out a second season of Cyberpunk Edgerunner because some people's mental health has gotten better, so it's time to make them sad again. In an interview, the actual director behind the game in an interview said, "Well, we're from Poland, and everyone in Poland is sad, and my goal is to make everybody sad."
Okay, it's very Eastern European of him.
Yeah. If you've not seen Edgerunners, you probably you do not understand. This show was beautiful, and the characters were interesting, and it is full on like Grave of the Fireflies level depressing by the end.
Okay,
we finally got the first round of cast announcements for the live action Legend of Zelda.
Who's Chris Pratt? Is he Zelda?
He's Ganon.
Okay.
No. He hasn't been announced yet. They've only announced Link and Zelda. Zelda is going to be played by Bo Bragason, who neither of these, they're both newcomers, but they're not like unknown newcomers. They've both had several successes and been in several shows or movies. Bo is best known for this TV series Renegade Nell, which just came out last year. I've not seen it, but I have heard. I've heard good things about it. So it's not so unknown to me that I'm just like, what? I've heard people talk about it, but I've never seen it. And then Link is going to be played by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. I've heard of nothing he's been in except for he voiced Pinocchio in that terrible, terrible live action Pinocchio that Tom Hanks did.
I didn't know that Tom Hanks had done a live action Pinocchio.
Because Disney has to live action all the things.
Why didn't they get the original cartoon Link voice actor? Well, excuse me, princess. Don't we want that?
I mean, there are people who want
that cartoon took some liberty. Nobody loved that. That cartoon, I watched them though. That cartoon took a lot of liberties with the source material. In terms of the nature of the relationship between Link and Zelda is not the one I ever got in any of the games. But okay,
I really, I'm not sold on live action Legend of Zelda. I'm not, but we'll see how it does.
Hi-ya!
And because Mario did so well, the second Mario is on the way. Universal and Nintendo have registered a copyright for a Donkey Kong film. No surprise.
No.
Donkey Kong, in my mind, kind of stole the Mario movie. He was a
good character.
He was a very solid character. So I'm not overly surprised it is coming. Netflix is supposedly finally, after having announced it 5 years ago, started production of the Assassin's Creed TV series.
Okay.
So I'm sure people will be super happy. I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to go Halo. But I say that, but Netflix has done very good by all Castlevania.
Yes,
Castlevania was great.
Both of the series.
Edgerunners was great. The league shows were great. Arcane, both Arcanes were great. I really loved Arcane, considering it's from a MOBA game that I think is one of the most terrible things ever created. The series was brilliant, especially the first season. And we got a new trailer for Mortal Kombat 2.
I have not watched this yet. I know you sent me the link. Oh my
God, it's the trailer. Carl Urban is Johnny Cage. I have to admit, I don't know if Carl Urban has done a role that I do not think he has crushed because he is so memorable in every single thing he has done. He was great in Dread. He was great with his little side thing with in the Thor movies.
Yes.
I liked him as McCoy in Star Trek.
You like him in The Boys.
He's hilarious in The Boys. So yeah, no. I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat person.
Go back and see the version of Doom with The Rock, and you can decide. Because Carl Urban
was in there.
Yes, he's the lead soldier in it, the one that the movie follows.
I had forgotten
with the sister.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
I've rewatched that movie.
I've not because once was enough.
So I mean, that was some tough material, and
but
again, he wasn't particularly memorable. So I would say he did not necessarily crush that. Maybe no one could crush it. But
probably.
Anyway, there you go.
So
he's mortal. That's what I'm saying.
He's mortal. Kind of segueing out of that, like we talked about previously. The SAG-AFTRA has done final approvals on their agreement, so the SAG-AFTRA strike is officially over. So they can start voicing again, except for all of those voice actors who lost their jobs to non-union actors.
Scabs.
It's not really scabs. When the union is U.S. based and they just hired voice actors from other countries. I don't know if that counts as scabbing or not.
I don't know.
I'm not sure how you would consider that. Wargaming, they make World of Tanks, World of Warships. They had a new live service game coming out. It was a mech shooter called Steel Hunters. Game just entered early access. Yeah, they've already shuttered it. They've already canceled it. They're closing the servers down. They're letting the servers run till October, but they're not touching it. They're done with it. They have not had over 4,479 concurrent players since the day it entered early access. And the game it's competing with, Mecha Break, constantly breaks 300,000 concurrent players and is enormous.
Yep.
And Wargaming is just like, no, we really like this game, but the metrics do not show this as being worth us putting any more time or money into. We lost.
Yeah.
So
that's good that they understand.
Yeah. Instead of trying to force it and then everything, but they are doing like a bunch of stuff for their like 5 people that are probably still playing it at this point. Like they're even organizing a special tournament to end the thing, and they unlocked a bunch of stuff that hadn't been unlocked in early access yet, but was already completed or near completed and maybe not balance tested. They're just like, here's everything until we shut down in October.
That's nice of them.
So, Nintendo has been pushing back real hard on content thieves for several years now, and we've talked about it several times. They had the big trial with Bowser, which was always hilarious.
Yes.
But the FBI has announced that they've raided and closed down 4 major ROM sites that had Nintendo Switch games, and they were spread across the world. They worked with national police out of like the Netherlands and a few other countries, and to raid and shut down these server farms and shut down these sites. So they've had several major. I don't know. Do you want to call them bust? I don't know. It feels weird.
No, but it
feels
good.
weird.
It's good as good of a word as any.
That they've gone and shut down. So. Also, in a bit of fun, the reception to the Dragon Quest III 2D remake was so big, and it went over so well that they are now going to doing a full remake of Dragon Quest VII, which is the one that was on the PS1.
Okay, well, hopefully it goes smoother than the Final Fantasy VII remake.
I don't know that it could go worse. I mean,
maybe. There's always slower in the world of Square. There's always slower.
It is Square. They could totally somehow trash it. But we will see.
Can't wait to see all the blockchain in it. Are they still running with that as an idea, or have they finally given up on blockchain?
For how much they've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, it's kind of just quietly vanished.
Mm-hmm. Yes, strange. Next thing, I'm waiting for them to fire all their people so they can work more on AI.
Well, that's what. Well, they need to have their people design and train the AI first.
Yes,
then they'll fire everybody.
That's right.
That's what King did in the round of Microsoft layoffs, because all of the layoffs from the Candy Crush group were the level designers who had spent the last several years designing AI tools to assist to make level designs faster and smoother. And they got good enough that they decided that, well, we don't need level designers anymore because the AIs do it all.
Yes.
So
Robotech is back now.
Yep, in all of the layoffs, they got rid of all of
They trained their own replacements.
They trained their own replacements.
A story as old as time, really.
It is. It really, really is. We don't know how, but the AI survived. The AI has returned. Dun, 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 dun.
Somehow, AI returned. That's not the plot of that last Star Wars movie.
It is the plot of the last
Somehow,
Star Wars.
Palpatine returned. That is like a going meme of like worst writing ever.
Right.
I've seen the version where people are like, if Disney controls Lord of the Rings, somehow Sauron had made a second ring. Would be how it would go. Would be how there was a second ring. We just didn't know about it. Wait till
it's because it's a toe ring.
Wait till season 4 of
awkward.
Rings of Power. Maybe Amazon will steal that idea. Somehow Sauron made second ring.
I don't know, dude. I don't think I watched the first season and I never felt the need to watch anymore.
The first season was a lot better than the second, but it's following enough of the stuff that I knew from the Simulacrum, or more specifically, because I've not read the Simulacrum, from playing Shadow Mordor.
Yeah,
that I've been cool with it because I'm seeing Celebrimbor doing stuff and all that, so I've been fine with it. But
yeah, I
just felt the second season was a little slow with trying to like move it. I'm like, come on, let's go, let's move it on.
Yeah, it was the same thing with me with the Wheel of Time series. I abandoned it after season 1. I was like, no, I'm good. I've read the book multiple times. I don't need to watch this series anymore. And the last little thing is just, this is the one that I think is, once more, AI, but this time in a possibly even more disturbing way. Roblox has talked about how they're trying to advance their safety and civility vision, whatever that means. And they've created several new features. They're putting a system together that will allow players between the ages of 13 and 17 to freely add other players between the ages of 13 and 17 so they can be friends and interact, but without having the creepy 40-year-old guys who play Roblox trying to groom kids be able to talk to them. And the way you figure this out is they now are going to have you put in video selfies, and they will use an AI to determine the age of you from your video selfie if you're below 13 or over 17, so you are put into a different category so you don't fall into the teenager thing.
Okay.
So now Roblox is going to have, selfie videos of all of their hundreds and hundreds of thousands of young players.
Yay.
That's
fine.
That's
it's
fine.
all fine.
That's okay.
Totally safe.
It's totally safe.
It's going to work out great.
But if a user wants to be added or wants to add somebody over 18 as a friend, they have to use a QR code or parental approval system. So if you want to add, I guess the hope is like a parent or an older sibling, there's a way to add them as your friends. They've also decided that the parental controls that they have on for those kids playing under 13 will now be extended to 17. But from the age of 13 to 17, the teenager has the ability to consent to them being activated. And if the teenager doesn't consent to having the parental controls activated, they're not.
Okay.
It's like, so what teenager is going to consent to the parental controls that let your parents see everything you did and said in the game.
Yes.
And fully tracks everything.
Yes.
And tells them to all that.
Yes.
Who's
it's fascinating.
Who's going to consent to that?
It's fascinating. It's like we need their permission. The parents are like, what? What is the? This is like they modeled off of those parents that like negotiate everything with their kids,
right?
Instead of just being like, no, do it.
Yeah,
do it.
This feels to me like you're going to end up with the kids are like, I don't consent, and they're like, oh. You're so self-actualized because you're able to recognize
just like how this AI will soon be.
Right. You're able to recognize that you have choices and to start standing on your own. You're so empowered. We're so happy for you. Then you're going to have the dad who's going to Al Bundy the kid into the door as they're walking. Oh, let's go up to your room and we need to give you consent. Oh no, let's go ahead and give you consent. It's like then when you use the AI thing, it's like, is that a black eye? No, I fell down the stairs.
Fell down, yeah. I fell down my Minecraft stairs.
Fell down my Minecraft.
Well, don't judge me, Roblox. I played another game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is. We've not really delved deep into the AI thing here.
No, because I think we don't fully know yet how it's manifesting in terms of specifics on, like, again, it's like the AI art thing with Harry Potter. Like, okay, like when it's, you point it out and I can see where it is. And I've seen this in shows too. Like when I watched what was it? Was it Secret Invasion with Samuel L. Jackson? And they did the whole intro in AI, like the whole intro art thing, which it was like, this is terrible and ugly.
Yeah.
And but they were like, yeah, we're experimenting with it, just see what it would be like. We thought it'd be cool and alien looking. I was like, it's not. And but the whole show sucks, so that's fine.
You don't like Samuel L. Jackson setting down?
Yeah. Apparently, they did a bunch of that. Seems to actually have been driven, but I thought maybe they just didn't pay him enough money. It sounds like they just had a ton of reshoots. I mean, it was just. Like they knew it was bad, and they just reshot a lot of stuff. And
here's the thing: that's what they got from the reshoots.
Yeah.
You remember the Batgirl movie that they completely shot and they finished in the can, and then they just threw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done that if that's what they got after reshoots.
Yeah, Marvel don't do that. Marvel can do no wrong. But it's I don't know, doing something. I'm not particularly well versed in AI. Actually, at my work conference, there were one of the people I know from my from Kansas, from my prior job in particular. He's one of the AI experts in public health now. He travels around talking about it. He had 4 or 5 presentations at this conference on AI. I attended 2 of them. One of them was a general session for the entire attendee list.
Yeah,
and just going into like, how can we use these terms, these tools? How can we use them ethically? Like, we need to start. You're going to get left behind if you don't know how to use them. But there are risks, and we need to understand those risks because it's not just like this utopia where AI can just do everything and it's going to be okay. So be aware and know how can it save you time, but you need to keep humans in control of the decision making. That was key. This stuff, like with Roblox, sounds like the humans are not in control of the decision making. Like, I've seen people post online in little Reddit videos where, like, in the contagious laughter subreddits, where they put on filters that make them look like little kids to shoot videos. So, is AI going to know that? Or is it going to fall for the 40-year-old who makes him look like a 14-year-old because you put a filter on?
And I don't know.
They've got filters that will turn women into guys with beards. Like, they got filters for all this stuff.
And some of the filters they have that do stuff like that are really good.
Yeah, they look pretty. I mean, looked like it would be good enough to fool an AI. Stupid little AI.
I don't know. Yeah, it is definitely it is an interesting and ongoing problem. Much like you in my work, there are. I know we had a person at one time who. He'd never gotten comfortable with writing emails, so he would, every time he wrote an email, he'd feed it through AI to punch it up because he just couldn't. He wasn't comfortable with writing emails, and he did that to every single email he ever sent. And you could tell, for the most part, you could tell, but I don't know that people who hadn't had a lot of contact with him prior to that could have told. Because we could tell, because it's stuff like, he's never used this
I
word
implore
in his
you to
entire-
reconsider.
Yeah, no, it's like, he doesn't speak like this. He's never spoken like this, type things. And then I've also seen people who, when they were looking at something that they just could not figure out, they've literally fed it into the AI and said, please explain this like I'm 5 or whatever. Or however they code it in to generate it in a way that they can better understand if it's just too deep for them. So I don't know. And I don't think anybody knows. I think the reality is probably going to be somewhere between the Terminator end of the world people's thoughts and the Utopia people's thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on how well they evolve. But so far, the main thing about all of this stuff is, as one of the other panelists on one of those AI groups had mentioned, is basically at its core, though, what AI isn't as IE as you think. It's really just a really sophisticated fill in the blank tool. That's what it does. And it accesses, whatever information it's been fed to try and fill in the blanks. And so prompting matters a lot, but it's like, that's why I guess, as they're currently designed, there's not like these concerns about like self-awareness and stuff. It's not really working on that model at all. It's just accessing a bunch of stuff in databases, trying to fill in the blanks based off of prompts and based off of feedback that it has received, filling in similar prompts in the past. And so that's why, and depending on how it's built and stuff, that's why sometimes it lies or it tells you the wrong things because its sources were wrong.
Right.
And all that sort of stuff, which is why that human review is so important. It seems like in the tech industry, looping this back to your topic on video games, like they're it feels to me like they're trying to skip the human review part in a desperate attempt to save money on payroll. And so it's like, well, can we get, like, is there anyone who's going to overview these Candy Crush levels, or are we just like trusting that they're going to all work like when it spits it out? Maybe a level's basic enough that we can trust that. I mean, there's plenty of games I haven't played hundreds of hours of Binding of Isaac, but I've never had a floor that got procedurally generated that I couldn't leave.
Right.
Like, it's always worked. So, is it like that? I don't know.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff in the coming years involving different. I think the whole AI thing is going to kind of break down into different classifications of that have to do with just the level of knowledge and trustability of an AI. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they'll be considered or called or whatever, but I know we're not near, the AI that the self-aware thinking type stuff. We're not near any of that, but I think we are getting closer and closer to like brilliant systems that are extremely good at very narrow, specific things that they've been designed and trained for. Mm-hmm. So,
yep,
it'll be interesting to see.
Yep,
maybe, or we all die in fire.
Yes.
Clink, clink. Skull crushed by weird foot thingy.
Yes. Iconic. Well, I think iconic is also this episode because it's done.
Isn't it iconic?
Yes.
Don't you think?
Or ironic. No, it's not ironic.
A little
iconic.
too iconic.
It's pretty iconic. That might be the name of this episode.
Like Star
episode
Wars.
250. Iconic.
It's iconic.
And everyone will be like, that doesn't make sense to anything. Normally, I'm like, whatever.
Normally
they got this far, it'll make the basest of sense. It won't be inspiring, but it will be there.
Iconic by Eclectic Gamers.
So, if you want to reach out to us, email us eclecticgamerspodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to facebook.com/eclecticgamerspodcast. If you want to support the show for as little as $1 a month, you can do so at patreon.com/eclectic_gamers.
We're available on Twitch and Instagram at eclectic_gamers.
And we should be back in a couple of weeks. Maybe there will be some more news. You got some video game news. Maybe there'll be some pinball news. I'm not really expecting it, but possibly. But until then, my name is Dennis.
I'm Tony.
Goodbye.
Icon.